take a donut, you bite into one, you go, whoa, I'm not sharing that with anybody. I'm gonna eat this all myself. In 1955, my aunt and uncle started Congdon's. They died shortly thereafter in an airplane crash, 3 or 4 years. My mom and dad took over. Finally, I talked Dad into actually selling me the restaurant. When Congdon's first started, it was just an old takeout stand. It only ran during the summer. It was an old beat-up wooden building. It didn't even have a foundation. I think my Uncle Herb just kind of built it on a whim. But in had to have been 80-something, it blew up in a propane explosion. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but it flattened the whole building. The roof went up in the air, flipped over, and came right back down in the same spot. And then a few years later, I actually started a fire with a coffee maker that caused quite a bit of damage too. That was kind of my fault. Once we got to, I would say, the mid-'80s, we actually had more of a year-round building. And so we kicked it into year-round restaurant. Congdon's Pancake Room, which was next door here, was a full-service restaurant, again, seasonally. And then the donut shop here was more of a donut shop takeout type of stuff. We kind of put them back together and then turned the Congdon's into a full-service restaurant and still the takeout. Years later, the pandemic changed things around again, and we took out the full-service part and then went back to the donuts and takeout area. And so it really has come full circle from what it started in '55.
Thanks for choosing Congdon's.
I grew up in this business from 10 years old, folding donut boxes, to working on the counter, serving donuts, to being in the dining room unto college. I went off to college to business school, never really thinking I'd be back here. In 2008, Chris and I moved home from Colorado to start my career here. My dad and I have been running the business ever since, through the food truck part, through COVID, a lot of changes at Congdon's, a lot of new systems, I think all for great improvements. We always have that Congdon's mission in mind, which is delighting our guests in every way and every day.
Jill's grandparents have passed down sort of the traditions to her dad and now passed down to Jill and I. It's similar to our guests. Our guests have been coming to Wells, Maine for, decades. And now some of the traditions, like going to Congdon's, they're passing down to their kids and their grandkids too, which is kind of cool. So you have this sort of generational legacy where Congdon's is sort of a part of their fabric of, their vacation, and they're having a good time coming to Congdon's, sharing a donut. And it's special to see sort of these stories that we get to hear from all our guests.